Thank you. Good morning, and I'm really excited to be here because I am an ODK. And I'm at University of Memphis, and I was initiated in 2014. And when Dr. Singer called me and asked me if I'd come speak about leadership, I said, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to speak to young people about what we do in my world. And my world is a really interesting world because our worlds are connected, because you are the future of us. And without you in leadership roles and leadership positions, things don't really happen. So I began my career, as I said, I went to Notre Dame, I studied for the priesthood, I was a member of the Holy Cross Fathers, I left the priesthood in '85, and began a career in athletics, coaching, what have you. But most of it was about is being connected with young people, young men and young women. And I have 377 people between the ages of 18 and 22 that I'm responsible for every day. Every single day. My phone went off this morning, another one of my young people. Those are all the student athletes that I recruited, we brought to the University of Memphis. The same was true when I was at San Jose State for 9 years, and the same was true when I was at Cal, St. Mary's College. And I began this process when I was the athletic director at De La Salle High School. Probably saw the movie When the Game Stood Tall. Yes, no, not sure. Okay. So the high school that won 155 football games in a row. Okay, I was the athletic director 9 years, but what we were about building a culture of champions. And I was 26 years old when I became the athletic director there, and we started a process with young people. We started with a couple things. And the first thing we teach my student athletes at Memphis, and the reason why we're going to be really, really good forward, and we've been pretty good the last 2 years, although not as good as Grand Valley State, but I'm honored to be here. 19 championships in 50 years. I'm at a school that's 104 years in athletics and has 0. So I'm honored. Not that I bring that up to my coaches or anything like that, not that I tell them all the time. When I first got there in 2012, I built a trophy case at the University of Memphis, and it says National Champions, and it's empty. It's working. We're getting better. So, anyway, what we begin with, I tell my student athletes, remember that I have people like you who are highly motivated, highly successful, highly organized, and they also have a whole nother level of, they've been told they've been great and everything that's athletic. So they have this narcissistic dynamic of how good they are as an individual. And throughout their process of being recruited to be a Division I athlete, to be the top of amateur athletics, they're told that you're greater, you're the best, you're awesome by their parents, their brother, their girlfriend, the newspaper, the media, the television, the radio, whoever. And then I get them, and we tell them that too. And we lie to them too. We tell them you're the best, come on, and we sign them, and then we get them. And we bring them in, and we start the process to teach them they're the most unimportant person by themselves. That in fact, they are really not that important without everybody else. And we create a culture that says being a champion requires to understand the reality of who you are, but more importantly, to embrace the reality of everyone around you. Even if you're an individual athlete in track and field or swimming or water polo or boxing, the individualization of your dynamic is about a team training effort in what we do, okay? So we build a culture with leadership. And it starts with the idea, and I tell my guys this all the time, I'm more afraid of 100 sheep led by one lion than an army of 100 lions led by one sheep. And that if you're going to become a champion, if you're going to become great, you have to learn how to lead. And you learn how to lead by listening, by being engaged with the people you're around, by learning about others. And I learn about people when I listen more than I speak. We know that. I learn about others when I get put in positions of challenge. Okay? All of us are in a position of challenge. So we have a thing in my world that if you can't compete in the classroom, you can't wear a jersey from me. So when I went to, I started at San Jose State, when I went to Memphis, our graduation rate in athletics was 63%. My graduation rate, spring of 2016, is 91%. Because if you can't, thanks. It's real simple. You really want to play, you got to become a student, because you're a student athlete, not athlete student. So the first thing we start is we create this environment that says, I'm going to be motivated every day. The second thing I did, I started a training table, and instead of providing you dinner, I provide you breakfast. That'll get you out of bed, and that gets you to class, because I'm feeding you. Kids like to eat. So when I got there, we provide you dinner. So you're lazy all day, practice, eat. Nah, we don't buy your dinner, we buy your breakfast. Because you start the day with us, and then you go about the university. It's worked. The second thing that we've done, and wherever I've been, in dealing with young people, is that I've created an accountability factor that says, you are your brother's keeper, you are your sister's keeper. That you are, in fact, responsible for each other, not me. And so when you take an environment of athletes and you tell them, student athletes, and you tell them they're responsible for each other, that's so unique to them, they're not used to that. Because up until their 18th birthday and their graduation from high school, they've been worried about one person, themselves. Been worried about one thing, their athleticism. And athleticism, I'm telling you, I'm 55 years old, it's fleeting, it falls away. But things like courage and valor and love and kindness, they're forever. And if you build the beginnings of your lives as young people in moments of leadership, looking at, I practice random act of kindness, I have the courage to do the right thing, I follow the valor that I need to be when the times are hard, my athleticism will also benefit in my competition. So when I study ODK and the 5 pillars of leadership and what you guys do, or what we all do together, I guess I'm always grabbed by 2 things. The first thing is, nobody wakes up and says, I'm gonna lead today. Oh, I'm gonna be a leader today. It's 8:35, I gotta be a leader till 10 o'clock, then I get to be a non-leader, I'll be a follower till noon, then at 2 o'clock I'll be a leader again, I'll be a follower at 5:30, and then I'll go to, we don't do that, okay? So it has to become a core value. It has to be who you are. So when you create a culture of champions, the byproduct is winning. Create a culture of pretenders, and the byproduct is losing. So the dynamic is to not be a pretender. So the core value of you has to be that every day, this is who I am. The intrinsic part of me is that I lead myself, my family, my heart, and I show it every day. And every day, I tell my student athletes, you're required to practice random acts of kindness. You're required. I have the most selfish, self-centered young men and young women you can imagine. Narcissists, mirror-loving kids. They're all about their looks, how they look. You have to practice a random act of kindness. If you started every day knowing that when you got up today, you were gonna do one thing, and you were gonna do a random act of kindness today, you'll change the world. And if we had 1 million people do it every day, we'd have peace and prosperity in a lot of places, okay? So the first piece of this, in my definition of leadership, or what we do, is we force our guys to, and gals, be careful here, right? We force them to practice random acts of kindness. When I was in the NFL working for the 49ers, it was like having 45 individual little siloed helmet-wearing guys. And they all got together for a couple hours a day and put their helmets on and ran around, got together and went out and played. And about 40 of them are millionaires. So imagine being in a room every day with 40 millionaires and trying to get them to focus on being champions. So what do we do? Well, we start by saying you're the most unimportant person by yourself. We start by saying start practicing random acts of kindness. We tell them to get your core values together. Whether you make $5 or $50 million, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Money's energy. But human beings can become champions when they collectively lead on a single focus greater than themselves. Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, there are champions. And I'm in a business of finite results. I'm not the director of intramurals. It is not about participation. We do not roll the ball out and go, okay, hey, go play today. Good luck. My basketball coach gets paid $3.1 million a year. He better win 25 to 30 basketball games, right? Right? And your fans, and if you're at Memphis University, you expect me to put together a winning program, right? And we all think it's just because we sign these nice things, put these big stadiums together, build these big arenas, put on the television cameras, and we go, right? And that's why 75% of all Division I athletic programs don't succeed. And that's why something's happening at Grand Valley State that isn't happening at Memphis. Not yet. So what's the next steps? The next steps is understanding human behavior. We love to be in a game. You all like games. Everybody's got their phone. How many of you guys have games on your phone? By the way, the most ridiculous thing invented was a cell phone, but that's a whole other topic for a guy like me. I take them away. So my athletes have to put their phone, every time we have a meeting, they have to put their phone away. And then I hide them. I put them in a box. I put them someplace. They spend half the day, and then we give them their phone back. Why? Well, the most narcissist individual thing that people do sometimes is this. Okay, this isn't changing the world. This is getting caught up in something about yourself. So every day, we teach our student athletes. We taught our guys in the NFL, taught the guys at St. Mary's College, at Cal, De La Salle High School. United, we can defeat anyone. I won 155 football games in a row. Now, they only play 10 a year in high school, okay? So do the math. That means for 15 years, the high school that I was the athletic director at didn't lose a game. And in 1992, we won every game in every championship in every sport in the Bay Valley Athletic Conference. Never been done. Think about that. I'm just some guy who got a job. Do I know what I'm doing? No. I know how to get people to come together and be individualized focused and to become unified in what it means to be a champion. And all of you can do the same thing. And whatever you decide to do in your world, whatever you become. Athletics is just easier because we can see it, it's definable. But whatever you do in life, you should become the best at, and you should make everybody around you the best with you. Because being great by yourself doesn't feel a lot. Although some guys in mountain climbing think that's different, but they still get somebody with them. I mean, nobody climbs a mountain alone. Truth, right? I mean, they don't show the Sherpa, but he's been there humping with the guy the whole time up. So from our standpoint, and from today, this morning, if you learn a couple things here, I'm going to give you a couple kind of things that we do. One is we start with a premise that says, nothing is impossible. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. And impossible is temporary. And human beings, since the beginning of time, have followed that. Nothing is impossible. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. And impossible is temporary. All that was determined impossible 100 years ago has been made possible. All that you can become is whatever you can see beyond yourself. And collectively, human beings can do extraordinary things. They also can create extraordinary hate and crime and war and all that. I see that. But on the positive side, we are a being that has the ability to become great together. I work in a business in my whole life where I get young people to get together and try to be really, really good. And some days it works and we win. And some days it doesn't. But we get to play another day. And that's the greatest thing about my life, and what I see about the business I'm in is I get to play another day. I mean, God willing, I woke up today, so I'm on. You get tomorrow, hopefully, God willing. But I get to play another day. And what I tell young people is that sometimes you forget that. And sometimes you don't understand that it's the ability to understand and learn from mistakes that creates great leadership. The secret is to not make the same mistake over and over and over again, but having mistakes happen to you, having things not come quite in line, gives you a chance to play another day. So that's the other value that we teach our student athletes. So last year we went 8-0. I was ranked 13th in the country in the college football playoff when it first came out. University of Memphis. When I got there, they'd won 2 games in 4 years. A 60,000 seat stadium. We had 2,000 season ticket holders. We had people that didn't come, and we were bad. I mean, we were bad. Still, athletes, kids have been recruited. We came and changed the culture. This year, and my quarterback, Paxton Lynch, was drafted 26th in the NFL draft this year by the Denver Broncos. A kid not recruited out of high school. Not recruited out of high school. Played at University of Memphis, the dog shit school of all time, in football. 2016, people are talking about the University of Memphis. I had 55,000 people come to the Navy game, 60,000 people came to the Ole Miss game, 50,000 people came to Cincinnati. We've had 2 back-to-back 9-win seasons. Okay? That's just one piece of this. And I share that with you because I think all we did was change how we perceived our responsibility as leaders. I got the same stadium, same weight room, the same uniform, same television, same city, same university. And it's infectious. And it's starting to catch on. And now we're going to create a culture. So, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, remember this morning, I remember when that guy talked about Memphis. Holy smokes, those guys are pretty good. That's how it goes. That's how it works. It's how it works in our business. It's how it works in everything that we do in athletics and in life. And so it's not really about athletics as much as about people. And really it's about young men and young women deciding that they're going to be better together than they could ever be about themselves and their performance. My women's volleyball team was terrible. Last year they won the most games they ever won. My softball team won 28 games. My women's softball program was so bad that we couldn't get anybody to come play for us. They won 28 games this year out of 56. They also lost 28. But so, I'm going to drag on here, but I think what's interesting is if I had to build it every day by myself, I would fail. If you have to rely on you to become great, you'll fail. That's hard. Academics, that's a weird, and I would tell you that collectively, the more that you become engaged with the world and with other people and all that you do, your greatness is untapped. You could be anybody with other people. And leadership is required in today's age. I sit in front of my student athletes and there's 377 of them, maybe 11 or 12 get to play professionally. So I got 350 young men and young women who now this dream, this fantasy, this delusion ends. One day it just ends. You're done. The NCAA says you're now too old. You're no longer eligible. Happens to all of us. I've been there. It's a weird moment. So our goal is really about building leaders who then get beyond that point and start making a difference in our society. So the other thing that I do, that I require, all my student athletes must participate in community service. If you really want to know how important you are or not important you are, go work in a hospital. Well, I'm lucky in Memphis we have St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So I bus them down there every week. And they get to look at true heroes, true champions, true individuals. And they get to understand the greatness of life is being there for others and not yourself. And being a role model or being something bigger than you. That's what it's about. If you become anything in your life, become something really wonderful on a daily basis. I wake up every day, somebody asked me today, how do you like your job? I go, well, I don't have a job. I work in athletics. That's really when in my shop, and I hire a lot of staff and I lose a lot of staff. Why? Because most of my colleagues come steal my staff after I train. No, I'm not kidding you. So I train them, I'll find them, and they'll get picked off. Missouri took, my whole senior team last year went to Missouri. The guy became the AD at Missouri, Mac Rhodes from Houston, calls up my deputy athletic director and takes him and the other 4 guys on my senior team. Great. I said, great, I got to hire a new senior team. So now I got a new senior team. And I'm sure someone can get them. But the point is, and I think the point for all of us is, look, be great because of how you treat other people, and that greatness will follow you the rest of your life. Be a maker of difference in the lives of others, and you'll have a great life of difference you've never, ever imagined. And it doesn't mean that you have to be religious. I'm an Irish Catholic. But that has nothing to do with my effect on every human being I run into. So, athletics has been and will continue to be the game I play. And I will continue to build a culture of champions. And I'm hopeful that those young champions will go out and become more champions and more champions and more champions. I've had 5 of my former staff that are Division I athletic directors. Probably one thing I'm most proud of. And they're making a huge difference. I also stole all my ideas, and now I got to compete against them. One is the athletic director at University of South Florida. His name is Mark Harlan. He was my deputy, and now I have to compete against him. He's beaten me, and I'm like, this is not right. So that's not good. But that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of what we do daily and how we affect others daily. That's what I do. So I want to thank you guys for I think I'm Doctor, am I okay? I want to thank you and tell you that this is interesting time in Division I athletics and Division II and Division III. There's a lot going on, you know. There's a lot of accountability that has to happen. We've certainly seen some unaccountability take place, which is the nature of cutting corners. That's what we used to call it. So I want to thank you for letting me speak today. I'm honored. I'll take any questions if you want to ask some questions. If I can't answer it, I'll tell you I can't. We're going to be good. We'll be on TV Thursday night, October 6th against University of Temple, ESPN national broadcast. You won't be doing nothing. You'll be hanging out. You'll be studying. You'll go, hey, I remember that guy. There they are. Anyway, anybody got any questions? Yes, ma'am. Okay, you mean why am I in athletics? Why'd I do what I do? Well, okay, so I was I was never really good enough as an athlete to get any higher than I got, and I didn't want to coach the rest of my life. I felt like being the pinnacle of an athletic department, which is the athletic director, whether you're high school or college or small college or Division II, Division I, whatever it is, you can affect a myriad of people. Like if I'm coaching one program, I only affect those 15 or 25 or 40 student athletes that are part of me, right? But I get 377 young people I get to deal with every day. And so I get to make a difference. When I left the priesthood, I didn't lose my vocation. I just didn't want to be celibate, poverty, and obedient. I mean, truth, and lose my vocation. It's not a vocation to change the world. I just didn't want to, no offense, I just didn't want to be in religious life. So for me, being an athletic director lets me make a really profound effect every day on a lot of people. And I like being in charge. That's pretty much it. I like being in charge. Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah, they were bad. You know, it was... Okay, so if somebody tells you that you can't do something long enough, pretty soon you stop trying. So they had been told for a long period of time they were not very good. They were a basketball school, right? Remember, I'm the first football guy they've ever hired at Memphis. They have 57 years of great basketball. So I'm the first football guy they ever brought in there. So they had no belief that they could be good in football. And so they didn't even know where to start. So part of it was just creating the fundamental organizational pieces. So first thing I did is so medicine's key in my business. So injury prevention, injury recovery, and cutting edge technology in medicine is key in my business. So I bought a Grim Tub. You guys know what a Grim Tub is? They're about $55,000. It's a hydroponic pool tub that goes from, say, 95, 100 degrees to 40 degrees. So what that does in recovery of damaged muscle tissue, it creates a, well, who in here? I mean, I'm just the athlete. Who's in here? Any doctors in here? So you know what I'm talking about, right? So we bought a Grim Tub. So they didn't have a Grim Tub. They had no electric stim. They had no, so their medicine was way down. So when you got hurt at the University of Memphis, you stayed hurt. So if I only got 9 guys that can play, I get 8 hurt. I got 9 guys that can't play who go out there and get their butt kicked because the other 9 guys that could play can't. Make sense? So when I was in the NFL, we spent so much money in medicine, and I never forgot it because in college we don't do that. We don't. In universities, we don't do that. We spend money on facilities. We make you a nice locker room or a lounge area, a place you can play your video games. So we don't do that in Memphis. We spend money in medicine. Start with medicine. Secondly, started with strength coach. So when your strength coach doesn't look like he's a strength coach, you got to make a change. You just got to go, brother, I don't know what's going on here, but you don't look like a strength coach. And I need somebody at least put the fear of God in somebody. So I fired all the strength coaches. Changed the medicine, then changed our uniform. The other thing is that culture pretenders, if I'm in a culture pretenders and I wear a loser's jersey and this jersey's been getting beat for years, we got rid of them, all of it. Big ceremony, buried it. Jerseys, pants, helmet, buried it. We went out, we're a Nike school, went to Nike, and Nike and I worked a deal. We got new helmets and new jerseys, and we're back-to-back 9-win seasons. So, yes, sir. Yeah, all right. So when I was in the NFL, San Francisco 49ers, you gotta remember I spent 25 years of my career in the Bay Area. So I'm from the Bay Area. I was a kid. I mean, I grew up in Hayward. I worked for the Niners. It was really rolling. We had it going. And Dennis Erickson I was hired with Mariucci, and then Dennis Erickson came to coach. And he was terrible. We were terrible. And I got frustrated and left. I should have stayed in the NFL because I wouldn't be dealing with all this student-athlete dynamic I'm dealing with right now that's not real pleasant. Because right now, the student-athlete issue has been more fishbowled than ever before. And there's more microscoped negativity and a general consensus of student-athletes, and it's really not all of us. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't look like Baylor. No offense to anybody from Baylor, but so to me, in the NFL, was the best of the best. And I wasn't dealing with that student component piece. I was just dealing with great athletes that wanted to win. That was fun. So I should have stayed. I'd have now 15 years in, I'd have a better pension, I'd have had more money. Yes, sir. Well, okay, so wherever I started, same thing happened at San Jose State. You had to get buy-in, so we had the provost and the faculty athletic rep and key faculty, we gave them season tickets. And then I went to all this, and I did the same thing at Memphis. So right away I gave all the key components in the academic community season tickets. And then and then every student that graduates from Memphis gets 2 season tickets at graduation. Now, that's been kind of cool. That's worked. Well, we didn't have anybody at the games. We had 60,000 seat stadium and 2,000 people showing up, so I was giving tickets to everybody. so now we're getting a lot of crowds. It's a pretty good ticket to get. So, but by letting them become part of that, and then in spring, and then letting them on the field. I mean, I think our business is fascinating in that you see it so much very far away, especially college football, and college basketball probably even more so too. But if you get up close to it and it's your school and these are the kids and you see these kids in class and I'm sure you see a lot of your players in class, right? So it changes just how you feel about them, especially if they're really good people. And the other thing we did when I got to Memphis, we quit recruiting criminals. No more gangsters, period. No more. And fired a couple coaches and ran some guys out and threw some guys out of school. And the faculty went, oh man, that ain't serious. Because if the athletic director lets you bring criminals and gangsters into your classroom and they're on the field, how are you going to feel about athletics? Half our issues with faculty have nothing to do with us as much as the people we're bringing to the university that we say are student athletes. Baylor, others. But that's really how you make a change in the faculty. They see that you're serious. We make them go to class. You're required to go to class. We graduate them. We're all over them. Got a new faculty athletic rep. That was a big deal too. Guy had been there 25 years and he had all the perks, but he wouldn't do anything. So the faculty went, well, okay. So 4 years now, and things are better. Yes, sir. Sorry. Sure. By being involved in government, in activities, in providing transportation for students to come to the game. Like when I got there, you couldn't get to a game. I don't have an on-campus stadium, so it's about a quarter mile from the university. It's right down in the heart of Memphis. Making sure that there's no preferential dynamic. Does that make sense? So like if you get in trouble as a student athlete, the punishment's far more severe than it is if you're a regular student. And when I got there, that wasn't the case. So student athlete behavior, there's zero tolerance. I drug test my guys. I take their hair now because they've been beating us on urine tests forever, so now we take their hair. And that has created a whole new culture for me and what we've been able to do. We actively get engaged with the fraternities and sororities. And we gave them a special place where they could do pregame. And we told them what's going on, and we show our budget. I go to the academic senate and show them my budget. We spend a lot of money in athletics. you know? And students have a right to get mad sometimes. And I haven't raised student prices or tickets or student fees since I've been there. So before I got there, they kept moving the student fee to deal with the poor performance of athletics because they couldn't get ticket sales, they couldn't get their budget met. So it's a circle that happens at a lot of universities. And so you're seeing now student government and students saying, I don't want any more athletic fee, right? Is there an athletic fee at Grand Valley? There's not. Wow, that's awesome. So we haven't moved the fee. So the students are happy about that because they don't see that we're using them to pay Tubby Smith. I got a brand new basketball coach. I hired Tubby Smith about 5 weeks ago. Great guy, the best. I also lost my guy to Georgia Tech. Tubby's the best. I love Tubby. So, but we're not using any student fee to fund any of that. And so to me, because our budgets are so scrutinized, I mean, come on, athletics is, I mean, guys are millionaires in college. Coaches, people are making a lot of money. You got to be very transparent with it because it doesn't sit well with regular faculty or students. They get mad. Don't blame them. I get mad too, right? All the time. We don't have any separate, so we don't have any separate dorms. We don't have any separate world. We don't have any separate siloed. They're in classes. We don't have any preferred athletic majors. It's the other thing I did when I got there. We didn't do that anymore, which made my faculty happy. They were like, well, this is great. And then I have a couple coaches that are pretty militant. So like my football coach now, Mike Norvell, because I lost my coach to Coach Fuente, went to Virginia Tech. So you guys know that I lost my football coach. He went to Virginia Tech. I hired Mike Norvell. I lose my basketball coach. I hired Tubby Smith. And we get these great coaches come to Memphis because of our culture, because of what we've done. Not because I'm a real good recruiter. I'm a good recruiter, but they come because of our culture. And I have a new football coach that's required on the spring. All my football guys got to sit in the front row. Now, on college campuses and academics, that's like unheard of, right? My football guys, front row every class. It's changing the perception. It's working. It's working. Little things. Don't cost any money to do stuff like that either. Go ahead.
So when you got to that, it's not so much, like it did make some of the programs that allow you to kind of programs.
Sure.
What kind of advice do you have for like schools who basically making that transition into the NCAA in the first place? How would you go about that? NAI or
Yeah.
Now you're going to the NCAA, and there aren't any D2 men's volleyball teams in the area, so you're playing USC, UCLA.
Where are you at? Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So, we will make it happen. What kind of questions
You got to expand your bandwidth of who you bring. The one thing about my business is that everybody's eligible to come to Memphis if you're a student athlete. So you get coaches that get pretty small in their thought of, oh, I can only recruit this state, and I can only recruit Chicago. Like, oh, I can't go down and recruit Atlanta. I can't. And so the first thing that we do, that I've done, and we've gone from a regionally recruiting university at University of Memphis, we recruit nationally. And now I just sent my volleyball coach to Europe this spring, and she's going back, I think, in August. Because some of the best volleyball players in the world are in European countries, and they want to come to the United States. So the first and most effective way to change your paradigm is to change where you go find the kids. And that's probably the hardest thing for coaches to do. One of the things about coaches, they're fascinating human beings. They are. They're paranoid. They're all paranoid. Completely paranoid, okay? And they know, and because they're eating and feeding and raising their families on the backs and the efforts and the work of 18, 19, 20, 20-year-old kids, one. Two, they're highly superstitious and where they get their athletes and what they do. So if you can begin to create a new support system for them to get them less paranoid, tell them to start recruiting nationally, and you'll provide resources, you'll change immediately. Because you got to get a bigger pool. You got to find the kids that nobody knows about. Because where you're located, they want to come play. We recruit like crazy in Detroit. We recruit crazy in Detroit, New York, Chicago. And do you know why? Never snows in Memphis. In case you're wondering. Sunshine, we got great barbecue. Never snows. So I'm not getting a lot of guys out of Florida, but I'm getting a lot of guys out of the north. I mean, so that's kind of what we did. We changed it to a national thing. Anyway, I got to stop. Thank you. God bless.